Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Before we get this video started, do me a favor, go down below, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button because we got some exciting plans coming for the Honda Civic Si and for the Datsun 280ZX. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the video. So if you guys haven't watched the latest video, I went ahead and installed Skunk 2 Racing lowering springs on the 8th Gen Si. So far it's been a couple weeks since I installed them. They feel phenomenal, they feel great. Now, since I installed them, there's a reason for doing that because today we're getting some new wheels and tires on the 8th Gen Civic. Okay guys, so it's currently 9 o'clock in the morning. Right now I'm just warming up the Civic before we get started or heading out because I actually have to make a quick stop before we go to the shop to get the wheels and tires installed. And the cool thing is I'm actually going to be installing the tires onto the new wheels today, and we're also going to be balancing them. So I think it's going to be really cool. I'm going to just be like super precise. I'm going to be super careful with the wheels just so we don't scratch them up or anything. So afterwards, when we get those installed, we're gonna head back home and get that all fitted up correctly, and we can go for the test drive for the new wheels and tires setup. Also, if you guys don't remember how the 8th Gen Civic looks like, so currently this is what it's sitting on right now. It looks a little bit high on the front side just because I have the wheel turned. But if you look super closely, the OEM fitment is just completely eliminated. There is some gap, obviously, like just for the OEM wheels and for the tires. But with the new wheels and tire setup, it's gonna look perfect, I guarantee. So we're gonna go ahead and head out and get started. Alright guys, so quick little trip from AutoZone. So I had to pick up a rubber socket just to protect the lugs and the wheels, and I also needed to pick up some tire shine. So I went ahead and grabbed the Meguiar's Hot Shine. Now I heard pretty good things about this one. I was actually looking for a low tire shine just because I wanted to try something different, like the high tire shine on these type of tires. I feel like it wouldn't look good, but didn't have any in stock, so I went ahead and grabbed those Meguiar's Hot Shine. But I heard that this one smells really good, and it's actually a really good quality tire shine, and it lasts for a good while. So I got recommended by a buddy, so if you're watching, thanks dude. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and head over to the shop now and mount the wheels and tires. Alright guys, so we are at the tire shop. So I can't really film too much in there because it's like super loud, but I will try to capture some footage. But pretty much what I'm gonna be doing right now, I'm just gonna head inside and pay what I owe, and afterwards we can go ahead and mount the tires onto the new wheels, and then we can go back home and mount up the new setup. So I'll see you guys in a bit.
Fuck out of here, Ramon!
Alright guys, finally back home. So as you guys can see, this is the new wheels and tires that we're going to be installing on the 8th Gen Si today. Now, what they are Konig Hypergrams. They are 17x8 wrapped in Neogens. If you guys don't know about Neogens, they're a tire that is basically like an all-season sport tire from Nito.
I saw it online on this other YouTube channel from All Day Anthony. He recommended testing out these tires, and I got super intrigued because if you guys just take a look at the tread, actually let me step on this side. If you guys just take a look at the tread pattern, it just looks phenomenal. But the one cool thing about this is, if you guys didn't know, so on the inside tire, it actually has like a double patching for mostly vehicles that has a bunch of negative camber or just a little bit. But since we lowered the Civic, I did have some negative camber that was a little bit more than usual, so that's definitely going to help out a lot with these new tires. But first, before we install everything all together, I definitely need to give the car just a quick detail, just because there's a bunch of pollen and a little bit of water on the car. So I'm going to go ahead and detail this just a little bit, and then afterwards we can go ahead and install the hubcaps onto the hypergrams, and then we should be good to go. Alright guys, I have to wait on installing these because I forgot the hub centric rings at the shop. So I'm gonna go run back there really quick, and then we can take off the old OEM wheels and then install the hypergrams. So I'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, so we're back from the tire shop. We finally got the hub centric rings. It's pretty clumsy of me, to be honest, because like those are very needed, especially for the wheels we're going to be rocking with. So let me just go ahead and open the door and show you guys what they are. Alright, so as you guys can see, we got the hub centric rings for the new hypergrams. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing the car just a little bit forward, just so we can jack it up on the one side only at a time, because I don't have 4 jack stands. But what we'll be doing is taking off the OEM wheels and buffing the mounting surface, so that way we can have a nice clean finish, so we can put on the new hub centric rings, and then afterwards we can go ahead and tie everything together with the new wheels and lug nuts, and then we can finally torque it down the spec, and then we can go to the alignment shop and get that aligned. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, we have the holes for the wheel caps. So the reason why there's a specific way to do this, you want to make sure you have everything perfectly aligned. So as you guys can see, you have the valve stem right down below here. So pretty much all you have to do is just get this aligned up as best you can. I'm not going to screw it on just, I'm just going to give you an idea. So right here, these 2 dummy screws, they don't connect to anything. There's nothing right underneath the wheel cap, but on the top and the bottom 2 below, there are holes that you need to align to put the bolts in. And the sticker, how it sits actually complete like this. This is how you want it set up to make sure it's like perfectly aligned. Actually, it's a little bit crooked right now, but obviously, like when I get everything bolted together, you guys know what I'm talking about. But as you guys can see, the valve stem, the caps, the 2 bolts, and the bolt on top aligns perfectly straight down the middle. So just a little quick tip if you guys didn't know, but we're gonna go ahead and get these mounted, and I'll see you guys in a sec. Also, before I forget, so for these screws that go into the wheel assembly and the wheel cap, it is very important you guys add some medium strength thread locker, because usually, since this car is a high vibration on the road, especially since it makes the first contact onto the road, it actually makes sense to put some thread locker just so it can hold the hubcaps together so you guys don't lose your bolts. Now, I work at a tire shop too, and I've seen and I've taken off so many hubcaps that's missing some screws, and they never had thread locker. So another thing you guys should definitely highly recommend doing is putting some thread locker on these threads, so that way you don't lose your bolts. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get that started, and I'll see you guys after all of these are put on. So see you guys in a sec. Alright guys, so wheel caps are on. As you guys can see, I got them pretty much perfectly aligned as best as I can, to where the 2 dummy plugs, the 3 real plugs, and of course the valve stem at the bottom. So now we can go ahead and move to this car and take off the old wheels, and then buff the mounting surface, and then put on the hub centric rings, and then finally we can put on the wheels. Alright guys, so before we put on the wheels, I just had to show you this, you guys. So these are the new lug nuts that we're going to be using for the Konig hypergrams. So I didn't want something super crazy, just something super simple and a little bit lightweighted. So I found these JDM inspired racing. Let me go ahead and focus that up for you guys actually. Alright guys, so these are the JDM racing inspired lug nuts. They're super lightweighted. I wanted something that gives out a little bit more poke instead of the spline lug nuts, and I wanted something different. And the cool thing is I actually got a locking lug nut setup, so it did came with the wheel lock itself, so that means I only have the key for these. But we're going to go ahead and put on the hub setting rings and then the wheels, and then we're going to finally put these lugs on and connect everything with the new socket. Alright guys, the car is finally on the ground now. Everything is torqued, everything is finished, everything is put away. The car looks phenomenal. I love the way these wheels look on this car. I haven't seen anybody rock these kind of wheels on the 8th Gen SI, but here it is guys. Here is the new wheels and tire setup on the 8th Gen SI. As you guys can see, like, it's definitely a different look than most other cars, but the way that the wheels set off in the metallic gunmetal gray, I love the way how it sits, and especially I can't wait to drive this thing with the new Neo-Gen tires. I heard they're really good, they're really soft, and they're very high in performance. I definitely have to get a clip of I would say like a little POV driving experience to see like how this car really gonna do with this new wheels and tire setup. So I'm gonna have to wait probably on the next day or two because I still need an alignment. I wasn't able to get an alignment in today, so it's mostly gonna happen on Monday. Today's Friday right now, so just a couple more days, and afterwards you guys can see a little back road clip of me just swinging it through the turns and hopefully grabbing some good footage. Okay guys, so it's been 2 days since we installed the new wheels and tires, so about 2 days of driving, there is some rubbing issues that I'm having just on the fronts only. The rears fit perfectly, there's no issues whatsoever, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the car and show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so I got the Civic parked in front. Now I just want to make it clear, so the Civic has not gotten an alignment yet. It is actually closed at the moment because they're only open during the week. They're closed on the weekends, so hopefully by tomorrow we will be able to get an appointment to get that alignment done. But anyways, we're going to continue on the rubbing issue that I'm having. So basically what happened is when the springs are compressed, I'm hearing some constant rubbing on the inside of the tire. Now I checked it out, it looks like it's coming from the whole shock tower itself. So I checked it out on the shock tower, so right where the spring sits at the very bottom, the little cup that's on the very bottom, right where the tire is and that cup specifically, there is some rubbing marks that's on there. It's not super bad, but it is noticeable to me. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and take off the front wheels only, the rears are fine, and see what we can do. Like, it's possible I might hammer that cup in to see if I can get more clearance. If not, we're gonna go from there. But first, let's go ahead and jack up the car. And another thing too, guys, let's just take a moment to admire the new wheels and tire setup. I'm seriously loving these. I wish I could push it, but I need that alignment first because I definitely want to whip this hoe around the back road. Alright guys, so car is jacked up, so the issue that I've been trying to figure out happens to be right on the shock tower right here. And actually focus up for you guys. So it a little bit is hard to tell, but if you look really closely, there is some bare metal that's showing a little bit right here. I'm guessing that's why I'm rubbing, but also it's mostly this whole line right here. So not really too sure why I'm having that fitment issue. I checked the fitment graph, everything seems to fit. It's probably because like since I lowered the car, It definitely is giving it a little bit of a rubbing issue, but it only happens when it's compressed. When I'm just driving normally, it's fine, but since these are pretty soft springs, they're not gonna like, if I get them compressed, they're not gonna shoot back up immediately. They just want to compress down and have the tire rub up against here. Alright guys, so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna go ahead and take this hammer and try to dent this inside shock, or I'm not even too sure what exactly this part is called. I'm going to try to dent in it more to see if I can get a little bit more clearance in the inner tire. I really don't want this rubbing on the inside tire specifically too, because I don't want the tire to explode on me in this case. But I'm going to go ahead and hammer this for a good minute, see if I make any progress, and I'll update you guys along the way. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so I hammered it a pretty decent minutes to see if I make any progress. So as you guys can see, if you guys can tell, like this, there is some more metal exposed because I've been hammering it with this hammer right over here. But pretty much, I got this whole cup to go a little bit up more. Another theory that I had too, this bottom piece right here, it kind of like pokes downwards. I tried hammering that in, but I don't think it's gonna budge whatsoever. So I went ahead and hammered as best I can, but that's probably the closest I'll ever get. So now what I'm gonna try to do is, I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheel back on and grab a mini jack and try to lift up this whole assembly and compress it and see if there's any more clearance that we got from hammering this. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so I got the jacks already taken out. Right now I'm just about to drop the car and torque all the lug nuts. So really hoping that everything works out. Fingers crossed especially too, because I did take a kind of a risk, or in fact I did take a huge risk on hammering that part of the shock, because I really hope I don't ruin the ride quality and everything, because it might make it worse or it might do better. We won't know for sure unless we go for a test drive, but really crushing my fingers for this, guys, because I definitely want to take it to the back roads and see how well it does. I definitely want to capture some footage of that as well and show you guys. But let's go ahead and torque the lug nuts, and then afterwards we can go ahead and go on that drive. Alright you guys, car is dropped off. I'll be back in a couple of hours. They said it's gonna take around just 3 hours to align, but I'm gonna go to a local Starbucks just to get some computer work done, and afterwards we can come back and then we can finally get the car. So see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, car is aligned. Big thanks to RC Auto and Smog. They really hooked it up for the alignment. Now all we have to do is go for the test drive and it should be all set to go. Alright guys, so we're at a local spot in SD that I found, and like I remember this place because like I just love how the scenery looks, and of course like the solar panel theme, and lucky for us, we actually have an empty parking lot we can actually shoot the car in. Alright guys, so a couple things have changed. So I did mention in the last clip that I was going to take you guys to a little POV test drive. However, some last minute things run into me, so it looks like I started to hear my brake sensor turning on, or it started screeching now. So basically my front brakes are going out, and I don't think it's a good idea to go ahead and hit the back roads just yet, just because I want to crash this thing ever since I got the wheels and tires. Like I don't want to lose them right away, but I mean I still am daily driving it, so it's definitely going to wear down eventually, but we're going to have to wait on that just for a little bit longer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the car and tell you guys like what the wheels are, the tires I'm going with, if you guys don't know yet. Also about what happened at the alignment shop, because the alignment pro told me that there are some things I need to take care of since the car is lowered and has a new offset and everything. So let's go ahead and get that started. Okay guys, but before we talk about the wheel setup, I just want to give out a huge thank you to the people at Discount Tire, especially Emil, because he's the one that helped me out with the wheels and tires. I really like how the wheel looks on this car. It definitely like helped me a lot. So if you're watching this, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it, and I love how the car feels and looks now, so thank you. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the wheel specs and the alignment problem. Alright you guys, so these are Konig Hypergrams. I wrapped them in some Neo Gens. They are a 225 45/17. I actually went with the OEM wheel in size, so I definitely don't want to do an 18 just yet. I definitely want to do that in the future, however. But so the only thing I have changed really is the width of the tires. So pretty much is the OEM wheels were a 215 45/17, but I went with the 225 instead. Now I'm able to go up 2 times a little bit further than that. I believe it's a 235 to 245, but I'm gonna hold on that just yet because Emil recommended go by the 225 first for that perfect flush fitment. In my opinion, you guys, like, I really like how like it looks on the fender. Now I do have a lot of space still to poke these out a little bit more, and that actually comes to another thing that I forgot to mention. So it looks like I'm gonna need spacers in the front because if you guys don't know, I put on the lowering springs from Skunk 2 Racing on, but since I have the OEM strut tower, the little part at the very bottom where the spring sits inside, the tire on the inside is actually rubbing up against it, but only when the springs are compressed. So you can hear like when you hit like a bump or a little dip, it definitely will rub on there. But so far it hasn't been giving me any issues. Like, it is a problem, but it's not super major yet. It only happens when I am rubbing against the shock tower itself. If you guys actually saw in the last video, I went ahead and actually hammered it in just a little bit, just to give me a little bit of clearance. But with that being said, we're probably gonna have to put spacers on eventually because I'm gonna take a little trip for a couple days, and I definitely don't want to damage the inside of the tire as much more. So eventually I'm gonna do that. I probably won't be filming it on YouTube. I'll probably put it on my Instagram. If you guys haven't followed my Instagram, please go ahead and down below, and I'll put my Instagram right on the screen here so you guys can go check it out. So I also mentioned about the alignment issue that happened at the alignment shop. So everything went perfectly fine during the alignment. The only major problem was with my alignment was my steering wheel was to the left slightly. And actually, let me actually go in the car and actually show you guys. So pretty much how my steering wheel was, when I go straight, it would literally be like this. But since I get to alignment shop, they actually fixed that issue, so now it's perfectly straight. If you guys look closely, you can actually tell there is a bunch of negative camber in both the rears. I mean, let's get to the other side as well. So it's definitely a lot more. Not really too sure why I'm having more camber in the rears. Like, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, I'm just not really thinking about it too hard. But pretty much the guy said that I'm gonna need some, I believe, upper control arms or camber arms for the top part of the suspension to control that negative camber. But I'm not too sure like if I need that just yet. If you guys don't remember my buddy Gabe with the silver TSX, he's actually not rocking any of those camber arms, and his tires turn out actually pretty fine. However, in terms of like driving and daily driving, and also like going to the back roads every now and then, or sometimes every couple months, I would say maybe I might need it. I'm not too sure. I'm not really too much of an expert yet on suspension and components yet. If you guys think that I need those camber arms, please leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. And another thing too is for the camber on the rear, it's -3 degrees. In the front, I believe it's just by -1, but it's not a lot. So since that being said, like in terms of like how the car drives and how it feels, it's actually a very smooth road comfort feel. Like, I don't feel like any like high vibration or anything, especially with the tread pattern as well, because it's like downward at an angle or like a slash mark, if that makes sense. But it honestly feels phenomenal. I don't feel like any vibration whatsoever. It's a smooth comfort ride, but also very aggressive in the back roads and turns as well. Another thing too, you guys, I just really like how the wheels and tires, and of course how the car has lowered a little bit, looks completely. I definitely want to go lower because in the future I'm gonna need coilovers, especially for the front, since I'm rubbing on that shock tower itself. But in terms of like how everything just ties together, I really like how the car feels and how it's looking so far. We still have a lot to do, but in terms of like, oh my god, just the wheels and tires, I'm in love with these sets. Alright guys, so I'm probably going to end the video here today just because we have to wrap things up, because I have to wait on doing that POV test drive. But if you guys aren't subscribed yet, do me a favor, go down below and subscribe, because a lot of you guys have been waiting about the Datsun 280ZX update, and I promise you guys in the next video is going to be about the Datsun. So be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for that, okay? Other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. If you like this video, please leave a like down below and comment anything that you want. If you have any questions, or if you have any recommendations that I should know or I should be doing for the HNSI, please leave it down below. Other than that, guys, thank you so much again. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace out.